Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and thank you all for subscribing. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and if you're a new person that's just discovered my channel, please remember to subscribe, hit the like button, and share the video as well, and comment and let me know how you find the content so far. So today I want to talk about the different types of visas that you have or that you can get to come either to study or to work in Ireland, because I get a lot of queries, people asking me, can I relocate to Ireland? Can I just come and study there? What do I need? What types of visas do I need? Can I apply for jobs from my home country and get a job in Ireland? Things like that. So I figured, let me just do a video and highlight all the different types of visas that you can get in Ireland, and what are their conditions, what are the limitations, what do they allow you to work, and what you can and cannot do depending on what visa you're on. And then also I'll be covering for those that if you do get a job and you want to bring in your family, what types of visas can they get and what they can and cannot do while they're here on a spousal visa. So stay tuned and I'll be highlighting some of those things. One of these things might work for you and you might find yourself in Ireland. So stay tuned and I'll get you all the content. Okay, so obviously the first and foremost one is the study visa, which is actually STEM 2. So that one, it depends again on the requirements of your country in terms of Ireland. So there are countries that are visa required, meaning before you can come to study in Ireland, you need to apply for a student visa online, remotely, while you're still in your home country before you come into Ireland. So with that, you would obviously apply to the university and get your offer letter, and then you would use your offer letter to apply for the student visa from your own home country, either through the embassy or through online. That is the one process. If you're also doing self-funding, if you're doing a scholarship, that will be a different story. You will still need to apply for the student visa, but then in terms of the source of funds, you will use your scholarship letter, for example. But if you're self-funding, they're going to need that you pay a certain percentage of your fees at whatever institution that you'll be registered at, or you'll have gotten an offer at. And then they need to see obviously your bank statement, your financial bank statement, in terms of how you're going to be financing yourself while you're here. So that's for visa required countries, and you're also going to need medical health insurance. So, and then there's for the countries that are not visa required, like South Africa, for instance. All you do is apply, and then you have to get the job offer. I mean, the university offer. Could be conditional offer or a final offer. But once you have that offer, if you don't need a visa, if your country is not on the visa required countries, then you can simply there will be requirements of it that you have to pay a certain amount of fees to accept your offer. Then you pay that, and then when you come into Ireland, because your country is not visa required, they will just need your source of funds, your proof of address where you're going to be living in Ireland, your offer letter, be it conditional or final, and then you're also going to need source of funds in terms of the fees, how you're going to pay that, and you would have proof that you paid a certain amount of fees. Then they will stamp your passport for 90 days or up to 90 days. And then once you are in the country, within those 90 days, you have to get an appointment with the immigration in your county. Could be in Dublin, Galway, depends where you are in the country. Set up an immigration appointment. Usually it depends on the institution, but usually schools set up these appointments for the international students. So they'll set this appointment up for you. Then you would go there, present all your documents, source of funding, proof of address, medical insurance, your passport, pictures, and all of that. And then from there, they process your visa, and you will get your student visa, say a month or two, or even up to 3 months later. Then you will get your IRP card with student visa, which is STEM 2. Now, that visa allows you to work. Every visa has its own conditions, in a way. That one allows you to work 20 hours during school academic year, and then 40 hours during academic holidays. So during the summer semester, you can work full-time, but during school holidays, you can only work part-time, which is 20 hours. So that's the first one and the simplest one. Get a study visa and come to Ireland. Then you can. And then okay, the second one, obviously following from your student visa, if you come in to study either your undergrad or your masters. So after you graduate for your masters, you'll be on your STEM 2 visa, right? The student visa. Then you go to STEM 1G. You have to apply for STEM 1G. So they will need your academic transcript, again your proof of address, and your proof of medical insurance. STEM 1G is a visa or a scheme that was put in place to accommodate third level graduates from institutions in Ireland to apply to look for jobs. Basically, it's valid for 2 years, but you have to renew it every year, and you have to pay 300 euros for that visa. So that one allows you to work full time. It allows you to look for jobs, and it allows you to work full time. So even if the first year goes by after you've graduated and you have no luck in getting a job, you're basically still allowed to be in the country and look for job. And then the second year, when you renew it, then they're going to require proof that, you know, you've been actively looking for a job, but you're not getting anything. So you could show them, I don't know, rejection emails, you know, or unsuccessful applications of jobs that you've been doing, and maybe you can show them that you're volunteering or doing something. Then they will renew your 1G visa for the second year. And again, you have to pay 300 euros again, which is quite a lot. But that is the second most of it. That's the visa that allows you to remain in Ireland after you graduate with your postgrad or your master's or your higher diploma or your postgraduate diploma. You get that visa. So that's the second visa that, in a way, that you can use to stay and remain in Ireland, to look for a job that allows you to work part-time. And then if you get a job while you are on your 1G visa, now your employer, because you're on a graduate visa, your employer will have to, if they offer you a permanent job, for example, they will have to apply to the immigration office to get you one of the two visas. One, general employment visa, which essentially, there's a list. So I'll put up the link here. There's a list of occupations that are eligible to get the general work permit, and there are a list of occupations that are eligible to get the critical skills work visa. So you get the general work employment. It's about 1,000 euros. And then usually you're sponsored by your company, your sponsor, and you know they will require like your job description, what do you do, how much do you earn. You should be earning, I think, a minimum of 32,000 euros per year that you qualify for that, so you can go and apply. Most of this information is on the citizens information, but I know sometimes people need, you know, to be guided as to where to go. So that will be the general work employment. Now, the conditions that come with general work employment, for example, let's say you've graduated and you do have a wife or a partner or a spouse that you want to bring in. With general work permit, there's a restriction that you can only bring your spouse a year after you gotten like your first job, or I think it's the year after you've gotten your general work employment. You can't bring them in immediately, and that one is valid. They can give you 2 years or 3 years, and then you can only apply for permanent residency, which is stamp 4, after 5 years with the general work employment. Meanwhile, with the critical skill visa, which again, depending on your job could be in medical, in IT, in engineering, you know, all of those things fall under the list of eligible occupations that are eligible for critical skills work permit. Again, if you get that job while you're on the graduate visa, your company will have to apply for you for a critical skill visa. It takes a couple of months, 3 to 4 months to get that, and the company has to pay 1,000 euros. And then with that, the benefit of having a critical skill week visa is that your partner can join you immediately, your spouse, your wife, if they're in back at home in your home country and you want to bring your family here with your child and the rest of the family, they can join you immediately, essentially. And your partner will get a spousal visa. They will get the 1G visa, which means they can look for a job. With general work employment, your partner, when you bring them here, they cannot work. They will get stamp 3. If your partner is on a general work employment and you want to bring your spouse into the country, they will allow them to come in. They will allow them to stay and live in Ireland, but they cannot work. So that is the restriction, which they get stamp 3. Stamp 3 allows you to be a resident in Ireland, but you don't have the permission to work. So that's the difference between the critical skill visa and the general work employment and the condition that comes with it. And then additional to that, I'm hoping this makes sense. Additional to that, with your critical skill visa, you can apply for stamp 4, which is permanent residency, after 2 years, after you get your visa. But with general work employment, you can only apply for that after 5 years. And that 5 years is split. So they can give you 2 years the first time you apply for the general work employment, and then you have to renew it again after 2 years, which they can renew it for another 2 years or 3 years. Then after the total of that 5 years, it's only when you can apply for permanent residency, which is stamp 4. Which means now basically you don't need a permit to work in Ireland. You're a full resident here. So that's the difference between the two. So with critical skill visa, like I mentioned, if you do bring your family, again, for both visas, they do assess how much you earn, and there's a certain minimum requirement that you need if you bring your family. And then if you have kids as well, that the minimum amount that you need to be earning also goes up. So you can do that application yourself. And general work employment, you can also apply for it yourself. If you don't have a company that's willing to sponsor you, or if your company is not willing to sponsor you, you can apply for it yourself. You will have to pay the 300 euros. and apply for it, and you will need, assistance with your employer in terms of the job responsibilities, job description, what do you do, but you can get it yourself. So those are the different types of visas. Unfortunately, in Ireland, there is no way of just coming in here and chilling and say you will figure things out as you go. They make it very difficult for people to come into the country. And if a visa is required, you'll have to apply for a visa to come, even if it's a tourism visa. And then for us, people like us in South Africa, we can just basically come, but you will need a couple of documentation. But if you're here for a holiday, you don't need to apply for a visa in advance. They give you a visa on arrival. So those are different types of visas that are available in Ireland that can allow you to come, work here, or stay here, or study here. And you can explore all of those options while you're here. So I hope this helps. Well, the last one, I suppose, is if you are trying to come into the country looking for a job from South Africa, for example, or from any other home country, if you don't have a work permit in Ireland, you cannot get a job, because when you apply for jobs, here's what will happen. You can check the videos that I did in previously on how to apply for jobs. But when you apply for jobs in Ireland and you're not in Ireland, they will ask you if you have the permission or the right to work in Ireland, of which you don't have the right to work in Ireland because you're not in the country. But now, the companies as well, they're not willing to offer people those jobs because they have to apply for that visa for them. But also, for you to get the visa, a work permit, be it a general work permit or critical skill visa, you need a job offer. But you cannot get a job offer if you don't have the right to work in Ireland. You can apply for the right to work in Ireland if you don't have a job offer. So it's like a loop, a cycle, which is very unbreakable. So the only thing you can do is, if you are lucky, or if you are an expert in your field and you get a good company, you apply to it, you explain to them your situation, and they are willing to take you in and apply for the visa on your behalf and wait for 3 months or 2 months before it's applied for and all of that, then they can bring you into the country. And even with that, they have to do something called a labor analysis market, which shows that they've advertised the job within Ireland and they couldn't find the right person to do it. And they've advertised the job within Europe as well, and they couldn't find the right person to do it. And then, only then, can they go out of Europe and go into the other countries of the part of the world, and that's where they found you as a specialist or as an expert in your field. So some companies do that. They do, they're willing to fund and relocate people, but it's not a lot of them. So if you're in IT, cybersecurity, and all of that, you might be lucky enough to do that. Even in medicine and nursing and all of that, any occupation business that is critical, you might be lucky to find a company that is willing to sponsor you. And if you do, they will sponsor you. They will apply for your visa on your behalf. They will require all the documentation from you. And then once the visa is processed, they will send it to you, and then you can, be able to come into the country and work there. So those are the options that you have. I hope you guys find this helpful. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, or DM me on my Instagram at Ishmael Mutibi, or Facebook Ishmael Mutibi. You can find me and send me a DM there, and I'll try my best to answer your queries. Good luck to everyone who's trying to relocate and come into this country, because they really do make it hard, but it's not impossible. It's definitely possible. Thank you guys all for watching and for supporting the channel. Remember to share the video, subscribe, and give it thumbs up if you like the content. I'll see you guys in my next video.